for cell phone mobile technology only. What it does is it will actually drop a voicemail into a voicemail box on a cell phone without ever ringing the phone. So that is a new technology, and both those are done today with voice. But what we're here today to talk about is mobile text messaging. Mobile text messaging, there's a lot that goes around mobile marketing. You can do your traditional mobile text messaging, SMS, texting. It goes by several different names. You have up to 160 characters to send that text message with. You also have the ability to develop mobile websites, and this is very, very important, and I'm going to show you some statistics coming up on the next slides where building out a mobile website is very, very important, because just because it shows up on your laptop in a website one way doesn't necessarily mean it's going to show up on your mobile device in the same fashion. You may be able to do things on that website through your laptop that you can't through your mobile device. So you really need to be asking the question to yourself today is my website mobile ready? That is a very important question. We also can develop what we call mobile micro-donation sites. I'm sure with all of the perils we've had with weather, concerning weather, you've seen, text 72727 to Red Cross, put in a short code, and you can automatically send a donation in of $10. That will appear on your carrier's bill, and that's what they call a micro-donation site. QR codes are those little fuzzy square boxes that you see on advertisements. You see them in restaurants. You see them on menus. You see them on postcards. Letters that you get in the mail now are coming with those. What you do with QR codes is with your mobile smartphone, you can scan it if you have a barcode reader as an app on your smartphone, and it will bring up information that's on that QR code. And you can allow your user to interact with them that way. And then also we do keywords, text, Wednesday to 72727, and you'll get the special coupon maybe that is on Wednesdays. So those are different things that you can do with the mobile technology today. Next, Jen. So why do you want to do mobile marketing? Because it's mass communications, and it's very easy and very trackable in doing mobile marketing. It's a way of getting out to the masses. It's a direct marketing tactic. It's convenient, and it's easy. And not only that, it's a very much a growing sector. So it's not overly used today, so it's kind of emerging. So that's very important that you understand that going forward with your mobile marketing. Next, Jen. So let's look at some of the statistics from mass marketing. The ability to reach a wider and more varied audience. There are 4 billion mobile phone users today. That's very important. 1.2 billion of them access the internet through their mobile device. Hence why I told you earlier that it's very important for you to have a mobile-ready website. An estimated 9.6 trillion messages were sent in 2012, and that's only going up. So if mobile marketing is not part of your strategy moving forward, you need to really start thinking about some of these numbers, because everyone's moving off the laptop and onto their mobile device. Next, Jen. Direct marketing. You can reach, you can interact with your users and reach them directly on their phones. Did you know that 98% of text messages sent are open? 83% are opened within 3 minutes, and 44% of people check their phone at least 10 times a day. And I know personally, I check it more than 10. SMS marketing campaigns have a 45% response rate. More and more people are using their phones. It's at their access 24/7. It is very important if you want to get your message to your client, to your end user, that you begin to look at mobile marketing because of these statistics. Next, Jen. It's convenient for you. Less contact needed for the message. It's 160 characters. You need to get your message across quickly and fast. You can make it simple and basic, and you can send to a larger audience with less work. It is very simple, and when Fred gets on, he will show you how simple it is to send a text message and get it out there to the masses. Next, Jen. It's easily shared. Any message can be easily shared between users. How often do you get a text forwarded from someone else saying, hey, take a look at this? Sometimes these messages can go viral. So not only are you communicating to the market that you're communicating to, but you can reach even broader by people forwarding your messages on. Next, Jen. You can track user responses easily and upon receipt, and you can also track your users' behavior. 1/3 of consumers say they interact with a brand through text messaging on a regular basis. Now, I personally am a sports fan, and when you talk about tracking user behavior, I always like to use the example of CBS Sports Online. If you go to CBS Sports Online website, they have a feature where you can opt in to receive text messages. And I am a big fan of the NFL and the NBA and the baseball league. But I only like to follow certain teams. So when you opt in, you actually check box which ones you want to opt into. So you automatically know the behavior of your end user. I can tell you they automatically know what teams I follow. That will allow you to market and home in on exactly what you need to be targeting for your different markets, their behavior. That's what's different between mobile messaging and email messaging. You don't know if people have opened it. You don't know their behavior, and it's not easily received in email. Sometimes it gets lost in email heaven, and it gets caught up in spam and all kinds of other things. Mobile messaging is direct, quick, efficient, and fast, and that's what this is all about. Next. It's not overly used yet. It's still a newer form of marketing, and there are not a lot of companies using it. So you have more of a chance of being successful. And in today's market, it is still growing. SMS revenue is expected to yield $727 billion between 2011 and 2016. So you need to get on this train. It's moving fast, and more companies are using it. The next slide will tell us a little bit more about how companies are using it. Next, Jen. So the mobile advertising market was the fastest growing sector of advertising in 2011. Today's total mobile advertising revenue is at $12 billion. Since 2008, mobile apps revenue has had a compound annual rate of 153%. And SMS traffic, they're predicting, will reach 9.4 trillion messages by 2016. So this is the wave of the future. I remember when voicemail came on board. Everybody wanted to leave voicemails. Broadcast messaging was the latest technology. Everyone had to jump on board with broadcast messaging. Then email came out, and then it allowed you to contact through email. People didn't want to listen to voicemails anymore. All they wanted to do was pick up an email. Send me an email. Send me an email. No one communicated anymore. Well, from emails, we've gone to texting. And now this is the means of which people like to communicate with. Next, Jen. So at this point, I'm going to hand this over to Fred, and he's going to show you how easy it is to use this technology.
All right. Thank you very much, Sherry, and thank you, everybody, for attending. I'd like to first start out, and please pick up your smartphone. Type in, go to where you're going to send a text. Type in 72727. And type in the word VOSURVEY. No spaces, capital letters don't matter for your campaigns. Just send that message really quick. I want to give you a sample of what one type of messaging can look like. So what you're going to receive, next slide please. So again, that's VO survey, no spaces. So what you're going to receive is you're going to receive an initial message that asks you, do you currently use mobile messaging? Yes or no? From that answer or response, if you type Y for yes, it's going to ask you, is mobile messaging a part of your 3, 6, 9-month plan or not at all? Um, and you, of course, have an opportunity to answer that. And then it's going to give you a thank you with some contact information and a shortened URL. Now I'm going to talk a little bit more about the contact information and the URL, but the reason I wanted you guys to use this is this took us very little time to set this up. It's a simple method. It's just another method of communicating with your consumers or your constituents or whatever they happen to be. And one of the things that I want to point out is that that contact information and your URL is now in their phone until they delete that. Now, with every smartphone I've seen in today's world, you can easily click on a phone number and it will automatically dial it or set it up to dial through your cell phone. This is a powerful tool. It may sound very, very simple, but if you think about it, the access to be able to call you from a support perspective, from a giving or donations perspective, whatever methods or whatever means you're communicating for a support perspective, this is a very great tool to give them that number immediately, put it into their phone book, and allow them to call it right away. Now the URL is actually a short form of your actual domain name or the landing page where you want them to send. Again, I'm going to get into the mobile-based websites and talk a little bit more about that. But again, it's stored on their phone. They now have access to it. They can come back to it later, click on it, follow through, and do whatever they want. So I appreciate for those of you who are playing along with me and participating. So let's get in a little bit more into the into the mobile side or the strategies. So if you could, next. So before I actually dive into some of the product views, this is just a very simple example of an opt-in form. One of the things that I think we've all kind of recognized is that the FCC has been regulating text messaging for good reason. Obviously, when we first started using text messaging, all the carriers charged the individual for receiving and sending text. Although most people today have moved to some form of all-inclusive strategy, they still have to, or all-inclusive plan with their text messages. They still have to pay for it by technical means. So the FCC has required that in order to do mobile messaging to individuals, you want to get or start to capture an opt-in list. One of the clear and obvious ways you need to start doing this is through your websites and putting a small, simple form that gives a little bit of language and then gives a couple of fields for them to fill in. The key is you want to make it easy for them to do it, and you want to give them a reason to be able to do it. It could be specials, it could be industry, news, information, whatever they want to get on their mobile device. I've seen a lot of different strategies for this to encourage opt-ins. Now, also on your contracts, terms and conditions, you want to be able to start capturing this opt-in information from there too. Even though today you may have a relationship with a consumer and you may have their cell phone on there, there are cases out there argued that without actually giving the verbiage to request permission to be able to communicate them via mobile marketing, you can get yourself into a little bit of trouble. We're not a legal group, so we definitely recommend any of our customers or people looking at mobile marketing solutions to talk to your own attorney or legal resource and make sure that you understand the rules and regulations. But one thing's for sure, if you haven't already started building your opt-in list, and mobile marketing is a strategy that you're going to move forward with, you need to start doing it today. The sooner the better, and the key is that you make sure that you get some form of written, whether it's an e-signature or a checkbox, but it has to be some kind of written authorization to send them those messages. So next slide. So again, we're going to keep it easy. I know Sherry went over some of this stuff. There's a couple different forms. I'm going to focus on the ones that are likely, that are the most often used, but there are a lot of different forms that you can actually communicate via mobile marketing. There's your traditional blast text, simply sending out a text to individuals. There's keywords and shortcodes. Keywords are actually assigned to the shortcodes. one of the things to understand about keywords is that, and short codes in particular, there are two different types of short codes. There's what's called a vanity short code, much like your vanity license plate, which is unique to your company or organization. Those are great, tremendous to have. One thing to make sure to be aware of is these things are not cheap. Vanity short codes, because of the short codes, the number of characters, there are not many options out there. So more often than not, the texting campaigns that you're going to utilize are a shared short code with your own unique keyword for your campaigns. However, the vanity short codes you can acquire. They do, again, cost some money, but it's definitely a path that depending on the size of your company, your organization, and your project, you can consider one or the other. I can tell you from the majority of the campaigns that we've seen ran up to this point, I haven't seen a huge performance difference between vanity short codes and shared short codes. The key is the campaign and the marketing that revolves around it, and the keywords that you utilize to attach back to the shared short code. So if you have any questions about that, please feel free to ask, and we'll try to answer those during the question portion. I know it can be a little confusing, but hopefully that helps clear a little bit up. Trivia. I love the trivia stuff in the sporting events. Anymore you go to a sporting event, or maybe it's even a trade show or an event like that, and if the organizers are already utilizing mobile marketing, which most of them are, they may do a trivia poll about if you're going to watch a team, some history of the team. You can do all kinds of things. So if you're doing a special event, or user group, or a gala or something, for your customers or possible constituents, trivias are a fun way to utilize it. Voting and polling is the same way. Actually, during the last election, the Obama administration utilized voting and polling during one of their town hall sessions and had tremendous success with it. Survey campaigns, what we just looked at, just simple surveys. You can utilize it with current customer follow-up, maybe a request on how service went. There's all different kinds of ways you can utilize a survey, whether it be for just follow up to current customers, or potentially marketing strategies using a unique survey like I did to understand what your behaviors are, or the way you plan on utilizing mobile messaging in the future. So there's a lot of different ways to use surveys, though. And then text to screen, this is much like the venues on the trivia side. The large venues use text to screen to actually allow people's text messages to be posted or displayed up to a screen. Now you can use a moderator, or you can just allow anybody to randomly post those texts, and they can be displayed up on a reader board or screen, or something that you're displaying at the event overall. There's auto-respondents, which are exactly as it sounds, where it can be set up to automatically respond based upon questions or answers. And then there's the redeemable side, the coupons, or the mobile marketing coupons or specials, codes, things that you can advertise to try to drive your consumers to call you, or to come in and visit, or to pledge, or whatever it happens to be. And potentially receive something special for that. Now, a lot of people always relate the coupon codes to just retailers. Granted, they do work really well for the retailers. I know Sherry's a big shoe shopper, and she likes to use coupon codes for shoes. Not to throw you under the bus and let everybody know you have a shoe thing, Sherry, but those are perfect examples of how coupon codes can be used. However, I've also seen some pretty creative stuff on the B2B side, offering specials or discount codes, to businesses for contacting, back to a particular business with a 5% or 10% discount on software licenses, or upgrades for a certain period of time. Those things are always very possible. There's creative ways to use all this stuff in any environment. Next slide. All right, so a quick look. This is, one system. It happens to be the one that we have in-house. But I've seen a lot of systems out there. The day of these being very complex is long past. You now have simple, dashboards and easy views where you can click. You can monitor, and you really don't need to be an expert in technology in order to be able to run one of these things. So this is a quick view of just some basic layouts. Really, when you're setting up a simple blast format, you're going to have groups, different individual groups that you're going to have split up based upon your marketing initiatives. You can schedule. You can, send out automated campaigns throughout the next 4 weeks if you've got some kind of special going on for the month. You can view your reports right online. All this stuff is accessible through the web, and you do not need to be an expert in any of it. Very easy to set up, very easy to get going. Next slide. So I want to show you first, blast text, what a screen or a setup design would look like. These are simple text messages, 160 characters. One of the things to recognize as I'm talking through these, when you're doing a blast text, you need to always provide a way for a person to opt out. So you have to provide the type stop to stop. It's a requirement. You have to be able to do it. So you want to make sure you have that ability on whatever system you're utilizing. And you need to make sure that that's an opted-in list. These, again, I want to go back to that opt-in list. It's that critical that you need to start building these now. And when you're doing it, you've got to make sure that you're sending your text messages to the ones that have opted in for that, for your company. So next slide. Let's take a quick look at what this looks like. Now, this is about as simple as it comes. You've got a campaign name that you can fill in, the type of campaign that you're going to be running. Your message, as you fill it in the center box there, it shows up on the right-hand side how it can appear on a phone. The insert area that you see is just simply to insert a short URL or domain, and then your opt-out trailer, which you always have to add. It's that simple. You could have a new text blast campaign up within 5-10 minutes. It's very, very easy to use. And as you can see, it appears nicely on the little phone, just so you know how your audience is going to view it. And then you can save it and run it automatically or manually at that point, or you can save and schedule when you want it to run. It's really not complex. Very simple to use, quick, easy, and cost-effective. And based upon the numbers that you've seen from Sherry's portion, you can easily see how text messaging and text and mobile marketing can be a quick and very, very cost-effective strategy to be able to get your message out to your audience quickly and guarantee that they're going to at least read it. And a large percentage, higher than any other marketing format I've ever seen, actually get responses. So next slide. All right, so now I'm going to talk about keywords and shortcodes. You text your keyword to your shortcode. I talked a little bit about the shortcodes, the vanity shortcodes, the keywords. Keywords, just to be aware, as you're setting up your campaign, obviously you want to use creative keywords that match your campaign or somehow tie in. As Sherry was saying, Wednesday for Wednesday specials, those types of things are necessary. But do know that because commonly most people are going to opt to use a shared shortcode, you have to use unique keywords also. Because a large group of people are using that shortcode, you have to find the right keywords that are not currently used for that shortcode or identified for that shortcode for your campaign. Because keywords are actually marketed and advertised through other means, you can put them on your flyers, onto your website, on banner ads, on business cards. These keywords, are avenues for people to opt in, because as soon as they enter that keyword and send it off to your shortcode, you then have them as an opt-in member of that campaign. So it's a very valuable way to also be able to build your opt-in list. when Sherry was referring to the QR code, the fuzzy little squares, as you walk into, a Subway or, any retailer pretty much today or events, you're going to see signs with QR codes, and you're going to see them with keywords that are listed there, where you can easily be able to allow your audience to opt in. Same thing goes for your website. You should be doing these there. You should be advertising your keywords and your QR codes to everybody in every form you can to build your opt-in list. But you got to start somewhere, and you got to start building in your opt-in list, and keywords to short codes are a great method to do it. So you're able to get 2 different reply messages. That's important to understand, because there's actually quite a few things. If you see in the parentheses down below, there are quite a few things you have to do as part of a keyword campaign. So you've got 2 different messages with 160 characters each that can be set up to automatically reply to someone. And you can also set up an instant lead notification, which I'll show you all of this stuff as we go through the actual view of the packet or the software. But you do have to still say stop to stop for the opt-out. You have to provide a help, which provides some Q&A answers or some FAQs. You have to provide a privacy link. Now, most of us have a privacy policy as part of our website, even if we didn't know it, because by default the website developer put one in there. It's good to understand that your audience is going to expect that you have some kind of privacy policy. And if your company's policy is to never share that data, you want to make sure to let your consumers know, and you have to supply some kind of privacy policy. Now, if you are going to share their data, you also have to let them know. So just be aware that you want to make sure that you have space for your privacy policy, and it's something that you're going to have ready for. The number of messages and frequency that you actually send to this keyword campaign are also required to be listed. Again, because of the FCC rules, you have to be aware that those things cost, the consumer in the FCC's eyes, they cost money. So, of course, because the consumer is paying for it, you need to tell them how often and the number of messages that they're going to be sent. And then you always have to give the disclaimer of message or text message or data rates may apply. Because you have to put all of these things in there, what you can do, and what we've often seen is between your 2 reply messages, they split it up so that maybe you have your stop and your help notification on your first one, and your privacy number of messages and the message data apply on your third or on your second one. So let's take a look at the way the screens actually look as you're developing this. Next slide. All right, so again, very simple. You just click in there, type in the information, you create your campaign name, you select your keyword, you type in your initial reply message. Again, you can list your shortcode or your URL if you want to send them back to your mobile website. You can also go to the second reply message, enter those in, and you'll see it again showing up on your smartphone, your little display, so it's easy to understand. Easy to see how your consumers are going to be reading these. So again, all very straightforward. Next slide. Now there's a little more to this application than what we looked at on the first one. Just a blast text is about as simple as it gets. Now with this one, if you're doing certain activities, you need to be aware that there's a double opt-in requirement from the FCC. So, tobacco, firearms, certain things fall under the requirement of double opt-in. Don't know if we have anybody in the audience today who's doing, that type of marketing or working in that type of field, but do be aware that, those things do require a double opt-in. And then it can provide a prompt back to make sure, make sure that you're doing that, following that double opt-in process. And if they type no to the opt-in, then you can also send a reply message. It's a requirement. It's something that if you fall within those guidelines, you definitely need to make sure that you have the ability to be able to do the double opt-out or double opt-in. So next slide. All right, and here's the way you set up your email address notifications or your mobile phone notifications. So when you set up a keyword campaign and you want to be notified when somebody actually replies back to your short code and to your keyword campaign, you can actually send email to multiple email addresses a notification that there's a new lead, or you can send it straight to your mobile device. This way, whether it's your sales or your marketing team or whoever happens to be, looking for these notifications, they're immediately going to get that response, and of course you're going to be able to track that back to, the cell phone, and as long as your data source is good, you can obviously use their phone number to track back to, who it is and make a phone call back to them. Now you can also enable an email capture. So when they're in that format, you can allow them to enter in an email address to respond or communicate with you, and then you can do an automatic reply via email back to that person. Again, inserting your message down below. So next slide, please. So those are the two forms of the most commonly used. I mean, obviously, there's a lot more ways to use mobile marketing, but I think one of the other things that I wanted to make sure to touch on is your mobile website. Sherry kind of brushed over this a little bit, but it's really critical to understand that when you're building your website, we all build it for content. Your website developers or your marketing people will look to try to build out keyword phrases. You'll try to fill it up with as much content, valuable content, as you possibly can. That's a traditional website. When you view your traditional website on your mobile device, oftentimes, for one, you can't see it because it's too small, even on a 3 or a 7-inch screen. It gets very small, and then you have to zoom and drag around and move it around just to find what you want. Oftentimes, too, certain types of websites, certain types of coding are not going to be even viewable on certain mobile devices. So you need to be aware that what you have today for your website may not necessarily be what you want to be displaying to your mobile users. And as Sherry's numbers showed, you need to make sure that your site is at least mobile enabled or mobile optimized, whatever you want to call it. It needs to be ready to be viewed on a mobile device on a very small screen. And you can't, there are still users out there that are using the small screen Blackberries and certain devices that it's just going to be difficult to create those. There are apps out there that you can build, for your mobile website that may work better for your organization if you're that size and you feel there's a value to the app. But the mobile websites are not that difficult to be able to do either. One of the things we do at Voice One is we help people build out their mobile website as part of their strategy. And the keys when you're doing this is to really think about how your consumer or how your constituent or audience is going to be viewing your mobile website or your website via their mobile device. They're not going on their mobile device for research typically. Usually when someone's using their mobile device to view a website, they're usually looking for contact information, address information, driving directions. It's on mine. I know my phone. I can easily access from a properly designed mobile website an address and pop it right into my GPS and find and get directions. These are all things that people utilize your mobile website for. So you may want to consider your strategy behind this, and it's not the same as creating your traditional website. You want to keep it pared down, simple information. Your overviews. You shouldn't be looking to fill someone up with all kinds of researchable information about your company or organization or products. You want to keep it very simple, straightforward, small sentences, as simple as you possibly can. So next slide. This is something that we put together. It's our mobile website for Voice One. It's very straightforward. We're looking for contacts or we're looking for opt-ins, and we're giving them a phone number. We're putting our logo up there. As you can see, it still views very well, but it's extremely simple compared to the actual content that we have on our traditional website. Next slide. So as you can see, we're just looking to capture their phone number and their email address. They can sign up automatically right there, to be part of our contact list. And then if they want, they can add in their home phone. We kept this one very simple because it's really just a demo for today's purposes. But this gives you kind of an idea or look and feel of what you want to try to focus on. I'd probably add if I was building it for my own website, I'd add more contact information together than this. This is a little light, but for today's purposes, I think it shows you, you really got to consider your strategy when you're deciding what you want your mobile website to look like. Some of the other things that I've seen done very well is notifying of events. One of the things that we've seen with the simple uses like trying to find out schedules in schools with events. Most schools don't have a mobile website, so you try to go in and find out when your student or when your son or daughter are going to be going to need to go to school for for their band or choir or whatever it happens to be. If you can provide that information directly onto the phone, where a parent can search and while they're at work, say find who exactly or when exactly they need to get their student to the school in order to be there. That stuff is valuable information and commonly used for on the mobile devices. Trade shows, events. I've seen mobile websites utilized extremely well to keep very targeted on the calendar of events that happen throughout the day. I mean, these are all things that you can easily put out there and display, and your actual consumers or your audience will find of value. Next slide. So, and then some important facts. All of these Sherry went over. So, you can see even a little more content, a little more filled in bullet points, still view very nicely on a mobile device. So, again, keep your mobile website strategy. It should be different than what your traditional website strategy needs to be. And there are ways you can really figure out what the content is that your audience is looking for when they are viewing it on a mobile device. So next slide. All right. So at this point, I'm going to ask Sherry to hop back on, and we're going to try to answer whatever questions the audience happens to have.
And Fred, just one thing before we get started, and I know Jen will be getting those messages. I'm not sure how many attendees on the phone were getting it's kind of like a trivia game that we were playing. It was, who is Rebecca Martin? And if any of y'all have gotten those text messages or voicemail messages, we will be identifying who Rebecca Martin is at the end through a press release after this webinar. It is a trip to Vail, Colorado, just as the aspens are turning and the air is cooling. So if you did register to find out who Rebecca Martin is, we will be announcing that. The way we did this, just in case that you weren't part of this game that we played, was a way to show people how to use not only mobile messaging, but our ringless voicemail. So we used several of our technologies to show how this could be used. So anyway, I just wanted to make that announcement. Jen?
All right. So I'd like to thank Sherry and Fred for a great presentation. And we have had a few questions come in, so we'll get started with the Q&A session. So my first question is from Ron. It's, can you review how to develop an opt-in list?
Fred, I'll let you handle that one.
All right, thanks, Sherry. So, first of all, like I said, the contracts, terms and conditions, all your forms that you have consumers or your customers fill out, any authorization forms on your website, signing up for, potentially email, you want to start adding in, the section or a paragraph defining an opt-in option for your mobile messaging campaigns. Again, even if you're not using this today or you have no intentions this year of doing it, you need to start gathering your opt-in list now. You don't want to start out
using a system and trying to get your campaign going off with 1 or 2 cell phone numbers. You want to get a full opt-in list of all your consumers. Now also you want to make sure that you're utilizing the QR codes or the keyword campaigns as an alternative method to build additional opt-ins. Those are going to come from your marketing. The great thing about all of us are doing traditional marketing. I'm sure the majority of you on here are in forms of email campaigns, brochures. Maybe you have a newsletter that goes out. These are all great forms to put your keyword campaigns and put a little blurb about what you're doing or specials or whatever. Whatever method you're using to market your company or to go forward on your strategy. So you need to use all of those, in any method you can to get someone to sign up and opt in. If you have a storefront, get some posters up. Put your QR code on there. Make sure that audiences know that you have this ability to communicate with them via text message, because the majority of the millennials, that's what they know. And those are our consumers. Those are the people that are in their early 20s right now, late teens. They're our buyers of the future. And depending on what you do, they're a huge audience for you potentially. And these people want to communicate over text message. So you got to make sure that you get that message out there. But you also need to be aware, this is marketing. You need to be able to show value. If you expect people to just opt in because you have a cell phone or a keyword or something like that, they're not just going to opt in for any reason. There needs to be value there. So if it's from a support perspective for a communication method, if it's for an outbound, special notifications, if it's for a newsletter to your mobile site for directions, there's all kinds of things you could do. You just need to make sure there's a value there to build that opt-in list too. So hopefully that answers your question.
All right. So Roxanne has our next question. Do you know what is about the right number of messages per month that the consumer will be comfortable with?
Sherry? Do you want to, or do you want me?
Go ahead, Fred. I'll let you answer that one too.
Okay. It really depends on your audience. There's the people that utilize this for, say, for instance, the coupon codes. Those are people, once they've signed up or opted in, generally speaking, they want to know when your specials are. They want to know what specials you are running, and receiving a coupon code for them, it's someone who signed up. You could actively send 2 to 3 a week, depending on your special, and that's the great thing about this is, they can receive them, look at them. If they want to use them, great. If not, they delete it. Now, you obviously want to be careful with any form of direct marketing that you do, that you don't overwhelm the consumer either. Doing one every single day is probably going to get people that are good consumers, good followers of your brand, to opt out. Whereas if you're doing an event, or appointment reminders are another thing that I haven't even mentioned. Those, you can. It's just like any other form of direct marketing, based on your audience, your message, and what makes sense. That'll determine, how often you want to do it. I would never try to pretend I can always predict when an audience or how an audience is going to behave. I think you'll probably know your consumers best. And what I'd say is, start out understanding, that you probably want to try different things, and you're going to measure, and you're going to, just like any other marketing, you're going to measure the results, and you're going to understand how your consumers are going to behave, and then you'll need to set your standards. It won't take you long to be able to figure out how your audience is going to respond. So that's go ahead,
And
Chair.
I'll add a little bit to that, Fred. You're going to understand more of the behavior. Like I had used the example before about, I'm a big sports fan. Right now, the NFL is kicking up. We went through the NFL draft. I was getting a lot of text messages because of everything that was going on with the draft, the new schedules that are coming out, who they signed, who they didn't sign. So I wanted to get those texts because it's a way for me to stay up on my sports teams without having to get on my laptop, read emails, do searches on Google and all of that. It was directly pointed to me. And I enjoyed getting those, and I got a lot of them. But then when the NFL season goes to the wayside, I don't hear so much from CBS Sportsline because NFL happens to be the sport that I like the most. So I don't sign up for all the draft updates and all of that for, say, baseball and basketball. I just kind of want to know, are they winning? Are they going to the playoffs? That kind of thing. So I get less text messages. So through the behavior of your consumers, you're almost going to automatically know how much messages they want to receive at any given time. As well as Fred mentioned about the coupons that I like for my shoes. I'm a big shoe fanatic, and I like to have them on my phone because sometimes I am out and about, and I don't mind that they send one to me every week because that week I may say, hey, I need a new pair of shoes. I'm going to stop in, and guess what? I have my coupon right here on the phone. And when it comes in and I know I'm traveling for business and I know I'm not going to use that coupon, I delete it right out, and I know it's not there. But it's handy for me to get to if I needed it.
Okay. I have another question from Susan. What pages do you recommend for a mobile website?
You know, like I went over it. I mean, the ones that are obvious is how your audience is going to use your mobile, you know, the mobile website. You know, if you're a retail shop or a storefront, or you know, you have people visiting your site, whatever it happens to be, it's only logical to have, you know, directions, you know, a Google Map or something like that out there. Contact information is clearly obvious. All the different phone numbers, different departments. You know, the basic information about who you are. Generally speaking, they know who you are because they're coming to your mobile website based upon a you know, a possible text or something like that. And special pages. You know, those are the type of things, depending on the marketing methods that you're using to drive them to your mobile website, you're going to want to you know, build your strategy around that and what pages you need on there. You know, again, those that are using this for event coordination, stuff like that, you may have additional pages that specifically talk to the event schedule. You know, mobile websites, the great part about this is they're very easy to set up. You know, we do it for our clients, you know, and I'm sure, you know, any vendor you can find, or the majority of the vendors out there you can find, can probably set one up pretty quickly. But I know ourselves, we can actually, you know, change those pages pretty quickly and you know, help manage the content in there. The real question is you know, what does your audience want from your mobile site? And once you can answer that, the page setups are pretty easy. But I definitely recommend contacts, you know, a map, an address, you know, all the phone numbers you possibly can, and you know, and basic product descriptions or listings.
All right. My next question is from Brian. Is one's mobile website URL different from my current website?
Sherry, do you want me to take this one?
Yeah, these seem to be very technical. I'll let you handle it.
Yeah. Well, I don't want to capitalize at all. I figured I'd give you an opportunity. So okay, so you asked, is it possible to have multiple mobile websites? Is that what you asked, or?
Is one's mobile website URL different from my current website?
Okay. So yeah, that shortened domain or that shortened URL that we displayed, that you've seen on our text message, if you tried the sample, is actually something that you know, the service sends. That it really is because of the limited amount of characters, you have to create a short URL for that landing page or for that mobile website. So it definitely is a separate, you know, a separate URL, unless you happen to have a mobile optimized website. The difference between a mobile website that we set up and a mobile optimized is some web developers, when they build your site, they will actually set up a secondary site that's specifically designed for mobile devices. And because of the technology today, the majority of the time when you navigate to a website through a mobile device, the website knows it. So it can actually display your mobile website instead of your actual traditional website if they navigate to your home page. That really depends on your developer, your website developer. Is a great method to move forward. If you have that ability, I highly recommend it. But most people do not have a web developer. They probably used a toolkit, or they had somebody they knew who knew websites go out and take a template and build their website based upon that. And if that's the case, the likelihood is you don't have a mobile optimized website, or you don't have a mobile website. And then, of course, we can supply that.
All right. And we have one from Steve here. It says, is it possible to have multiple mobile websites for different campaigns?
Go ahead, Fred.
Yeah, all right. So, yeah, absolutely it is. Depending on what you want to do, you can set up multiple mobile websites if you choose. Do understand that they're obviously, anytime you're setting this up, it's just like a normal website. It needs to be hosted. It needs to be displayed out to the world, through the web. So do be aware that there's going to be additional charges for multiple websites. But yeah, you could definitely set up unique mobile websites depending on, maybe it's a divisional thing, maybe it's all the way down to a campaign level. I probably wouldn't go to the campaign level for websites, but it would make sense if you have different divisions in your organization that specialize on different product lines. But it's definitely possible.
Okay, great. All right, so that looks like it for questions that we've had come in. I would like to thank Fred and Sherry again for our presentation. And if you have any questions, or if you have any more or need any more information, please give us a call on the phone number that you see on the slide here, or feel free to email us or visit our website. And we'd like to have you come to our future webinars too. Just be on the lookout for that. And again, we appreciate your attendance and have a great day.